Hi, I'm Brian Wickland with Garfinkel Schwartz. I'm coming to you today from our Maitland, Florida office, which is a suburb of Orlando. We also have offices in Titusville, Florida, on the Space Coast. But we do travel all across the country to help people wherever they may be. This is a federal law that we deal with called the Longshore Act, also the Defense Base Act. And what I'm coming to you today to try to stress to family members of overseas contractors to get involved and help with a family member that may be overseas and that got injured. And the reason I'm doing that is because throughout my experiences with colleagues and clients, I understand that certain circumstances could cause the person that's actually injured overseas to hesitate to call a lawyer or even a doctor because their contracts are very unstable, from what I gather, meaning that they have a company computer, company phone. If something happens and someone finds out they're contacting a lawyer or a doctor stateside, they may just be fired from their job and lose their benefits of the job and just get sent home for any apparent reason. A lot of these contracts are very self-serving to the employer. A person can be let go at any time. They can come back from work on, say, in Afghanistan one day, and the next day they're on a plane home because the contract has been expired, or they just said we don't need you anymore, or we found out you've been contacting people or spreading rumors, or there's all kinds of different examples as to why an injured person may want to keep quiet and not get the help that they deserve under the law. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to urge family members of people that are overseas that may or may not be injured but may be injured in the future to have resources available to them in case something bad happens, in case a family member is involved in a bomb, or they're shot, or they run over an IED, or they slip and fall in hazardous conditions. It could be anything, or they have trouble breathing because of sandstorms. Those type of people need to be helped with resources that can be done in advance before the bad thing happens. So preparation for family members is a key item. And if you go to our website at www.defensebaseactlaw.com, you'll see resources for family members and support groups and things that can happen ahead of time, assuming the worst. If you assume the worst and you already have certain doctors in place in case something happens, or you have my name in case the insurance company doesn't want to pay for certain damages and items that you're entitled to, you'd have my name on hand, you'd have doctors' names on hand, and you'd have support groups on hand through our website, namely PTSD support groups, brain injury support groups, lung capacity specialists that will help you get through the breathing problems that may occur, and a variety of other circumstances that you can be armed with, almost kind of like I live in Florida and we're always worried about hurricanes. So on my refrigerator, even though a hurricane hasn't hit in a while, I have numbers. I have hurricane evacuation phone numbers. I have the fire department. I have my insurance company in case a tree blasts down and hits my house and floods my house. I have those things, and I haven't had to use them in 10 years, but you never know. And so the same thing happens. If a person's going in harm's way that's a family member of yours, you may want to use the resources on our website and be prepared just in case the worst scenario happens. And the worst scenario that happens in a war zone is that you're injured as a casualty of war. And it happens more likely than not, especially in this type of atmosphere that we have right now, and in terms of the strife that's going on that we're going to have to support. So thank you so much for listening to me. These are for the wives and spouses and brothers and sisters of the people that serve our country, that are shadow warriors, that are not part of the military, but they should be acknowledged as heroes. And that's what I do for a living. That's what I try to help. And I'm here 24 hours a day to do what I can do to help you. So I hope you call me. If you don't call me and look at my website, look at somebody else's. Get yourself prepared just in case the worst case scenario happens and you get that phone call and say, I was bombed, or I just got shot, I was shot, or I fell out of a helicopter, or whatever that may be. So protect your family. We're here to help protect your family, and I hope that you take heed and get prepared for the worst, because more likely than not, something bad is going to happen at some point when you're in a war zone overseas in the Middle East. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much for the service of your spouse or loved one helping the government, I know that it's when you volunteer to do something like that, that's a pretty big deal. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. This is Brian Wicklund again with Garfinkel Schwartz. We're Longshore and Defense Base Act attorneys, and that's all we do. And we travel around the United States to help people that are not getting the benefits that they deserve. Thank you very much.